Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, aka the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.
Hello and welcome to the Living Martial Arts podcast with me back again, the Dark Master, with a very unusual guest, I must say, slightly different to my usual type of guest that I have on the podcast. But we have Miss Rebecca Hanser on the podcast, and I'm not going to tell you anything about her at the moment because she's going to tell you everything that you'll need to know. So how are you, Rebecca?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your show. This is an honor.
Oh, it's a real pleasure, and I've been looking through your website and your page, so I'm sure that the listeners here will be really excited about hearing about what you do and where you've been and where you're hoping to go. So without further ado, really, perhaps you can just outline a little bit about your martial arts background, because we are talking about martial arts, but I know we're going to go into other things. So perhaps you can give us a bit of an overview of how you started and so on.
Sure. Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to this podcast. I started a couple of years ago with jiu-jitsu, actually. So not so much taekwondo, which I'm sort of specializing in right now, but that was kind of my intro into the world of martial arts. And it started out with me throwing up on my very first session because that's when I got introduced to the seriously high levels of cardio and fitness that was required of me. But I got hooked. Apparently, I was hooked to what it does to you, to your body, to you as a person. It challenges you. You use literally everything, every part of your body you use when you're training, and it almost becomes a bit of a philosophy in a way, a lifestyle. Obviously COVID hit at that point, so I had to pause the training because it's first contact sports, of course.
Sure.
But I started to research other styles as well. Obviously, I'm in the movie industry, so my favorite movies are definitely action movies where a lot of stunts going on. I loved those ever since I was young, and I started to sort of look into other styles that would maybe fit me. I also do gymnastics, and I know that my legs are kind of my core weapons in a way. So
Yeah.
I was actually advised to look into taekwondo, and I did, and that's kind of how I was introduced to the world of taekwondo, and I absolutely loved it because that's where no offense to jiu-jitsu because it's obviously all beautiful, but that's where I saw why they call it martial arts. That's why there was an elegance to it. There was a grace. The graceful movements made it an art. And I am an artist at the end of the day. So I thought, okay, this is something I need to get into. And that's why I got into taekwondo. After that, I started mixing things up with Muay Thai and kickboxing, but that's the intro story to me and taekwondo, basically.
Sure, that's great. Well, just a couple of things that you said there. Well, the first thing is the jiu-jitsu. Well, I've actually did a little bit of jiu-jitsu in the past, but to be quite honest, it wasn't for me either. When I saw taekwondo, because I'm 5'6" and I'm very mobile and very dynamic. And as soon as I saw taekwondo, I thought, yes, that's for me. that's what I need to be doing. So we've got a bit of a connection certainly a connection there. My legs were certainly my my advantage in that one. Um, but and also just to mention, you were saying about action movies. I mean, there's obviously quite a bit of difference in age between us, but I was watching the martial arts action movies of the 70s with Bruce Lee and David Carradine on TV and Kung Fu and stuff like that. And that's what sort of inspired me. I don't know whether you've seen any of that old stuff.
Well, I've seen the Bruce Lee movies, obviously. Let me close my
Sure.
probably gonna have to cut this, but I see like
Oh, that's okay.
fun coming through.
See, they know this is natural, you see.
Okay. This is like my home studio. You can leave it in. I don't really mind. Yeah, so obviously I know the Bruce Lee movies. As a matter of fact, it was my brother who actually got me hooked on these movies because when we were younger, he was the one that started out with karate. And I was obviously the little sister. I'm talking about the 90s right now. I'm not going to give away my age, but yeah, so he was the one that was hooked on karate, and I sort of just, tagged along as the little sister. When my parents brought my brother to training, I had to come along, and I was like, oh, I gotta go and do this again, and it sort of got me hooked. I noticed there were not a lot of girls at that time. Things have changed in the meantime, obviously, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the older brother, so he's in charge of what we are gonna watch, and he always put on the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. That was
Okay.
it. So that's kind of what got me hooked on action movies. All those action heroes from the 90s.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great inspiration, and so many people. I mean, I'm going back to the 70s when I started, but so many people that I speak to were inspired by Bruce Lee and the movies there and the action movies, and obviously as it went on, Jean-Claude Van Damme and people like that. And funny enough, I met talking about female martial artists. I met Cynthia Rothrock, China O'Brien of China O'Brien fame in 1983, just when she was getting into the movies. I went there for Los Angeles for a World Championships. I was traveling there, and she was just trying to break into the movies at that time, and obviously she's done extremely well
Ever since. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very natural transition for some if you have that feel for showbiz, and you can nail it on camera, then a lot of the martial artists make that transition, which is really good to see, because it kind of introduces the world to our world, basically, to the martial arts world, and takes away a couple of stigmas.
Well, it does, and I always say that you talked about gymnastics, for example. During the 80s, I was heavily into body popping and breakdancing, and people always ask me, and I say, well, actually, it's not that dissimilar to martial arts. It's just movement. It's just movement, and the movement is transferable from one to the other. So I don't know, any comments on that one? Because I know you do a bit of dancing, and I've seen a few of your reels as well.
Oh Lord. I'm giving away way too much. No, it's true. As a matter of fact, lately I've been asked a lot about tricking.
Yes.
It's kind of obviously a combination of taekwondo, breakdance, gymnastics as well. Like where I train gymnastics is where I see a lot of people training tricking. So it's true. It is a combination of a lot of things. Like when I see the highly skilled taekwondo artists, the jumps that they make, the jump kicks, it's very similar to tricking. It's very similar to gymnastics. You've got the aerial cartwheels going on. So there are, let's say, transferable skills.
Yes.
They are in line with one another. It is not a weird thing that people start blurring those lines, because they're still separate art forms, obviously.
Sure.
But it's easy to flow into one another and become a bit curious and explore,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Just, I was going to ask you before, and I had a question in between, but you've obviously got a slight accent. So, where is that from?
Right. So I'm not American. That's what I usually get.
No,
Usually asked.
it didn't sound American. That's what I
Oh,
was
it
asking.
doesn't. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you very much. No, it's definitely not an insult. Obviously, in the film industry, that could be actually very convenient. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm originally from the Netherlands.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Um, and I sort of learned English through TV,
All
watching a lot
right.
of TV, a lot
Okay.
of movies, a lot of
Yeah.
movies in the 90s, and a lot of Cartoon Network.
Okay. Okay. Well, the Dutch are very big. I've been to the Netherlands many times in my competitive career, and they're always the thing I found about the Dutch. Whenever they were competing, they were all the same height. The lightweight was the same height as the heavyweight. They just got thinner.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're generally very tall. I don't share. I don't have those. I don't share those genes, unfortunately, because I have an Asian background.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm 5'5", something like that. Sometimes
Sure.
five. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's true. The Dutch are very tall.
They are a tall nation. So you've done. I mean, you mentioned a few different martial arts. There, you mentioned jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, Muay Thai. I think also I saw on your bio Tang Soo Do as well. Um,
Yes, yes, that's my main thing at the moment. So
yeah.
that was also what I competed for last year. And surprisingly, I didn't really think of winning anything because I just,
Mm,
I just I'm not funny thing is you do these sports, but I don't really feel like I'm a competitive person. I just come in more with the intention of learning. And
sure.
when they said, you know what, we're doing this competition, you'd be great. I'm like, great, I'm gonna go and look at others. I'm gonna do my thing, but then I want to go and watch the higher belts do their thing because that's what I enjoy doing as well. But once you're in a fight, I mean, you know how this works. The adrenaline takes over, and all of a sudden you get this like, actually, you know what? This is fun. I think I do want to win something actually. So you go into it, you give it your all, and I ended up winning some stuff.
That was great. That's great. Well, that's what it's all about. I think obviously your competitive nature is evident in some of the things that you've done actually, because I think you have to have that desire to to get somewhere, to be um,
Yeah.
rather than the norm, if I want to call it that, rather than the norm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have any designs on doing any other arts? Is it something you think, right? Okay, I'm gonna see what this has to offer, what that has to offer, and obviously that relates then to your motivation for film and things like that.
Absolutely. So I'm sort of dipping my toe in multiple things at the moment to try out what works for me and whatnot. And it's all funny enough, it's all very much related to one another. Obviously, the acting is the main activity in my life, but you can divide that up in so many different things. You've got the emotional performance, so to speak, which is what I went to drama school for.
Sure.
But I over the years, I just started to develop myself in physical acting, which obviously allows for the martial arts skills, gymnastic skills to come through and shine, and do their thing. And that sort of flowed into stunts, mocap, motion capture. For those who are not familiar with motion capture, that's basically when you see backstage footage of movies being made, you see these artists in their suits with their little dots on, they call them markers. That also requires a lot of physicality from an actor. So to be trained already, it's just a bit more, you have one up on other actors in that sense. Not that this is competitive, but it does require a high level of fitness if you want to do that for 10 hours in a row, so to speak. And obviously stunts. I've been asked to maybe look into wire aerial stunt performance, which is obviously a niche within the stunt performing area. But on another note, as I already mentioned, tricking is something that really got me interested to explore.
Mm.
You need a lot of agility for it, and I guess that could definitely motivate me to train even more. But I think that is a very natural next step that I would look into, considering what I've been doing already so far. So yeah, just small steps, things that
Yeah.
are related to what I'm doing already, because it makes no sense to start something completely new. Like, I don't know, uh what's new? I don't know. Yeah, cheerleading or something like that, something completely different. It always has to somehow relate to what I'm already doing, which means I can use those transferable skills and actually just, flow into it. Because I'm doing so many things already now, it just becomes a bit confusing, maybe.
Yeah. Are you aiming to be mainly a kind of, sounds a bit strange, but a physical actor, in the sense that your acting is going to incorporate your physical skills, a bit like the Jackie Chan model, if you want to call it that, who's obviously very, very physical, but he's, later moving on from sort of the Hong Kong film industry, obviously got into the American industry, where he was doing more, what I'd call more acting. But obviously his physical skills were the main part of it.
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. So just like the martial arts that we talked about earlier, that they sort of use their martial arts background and the platform and community that they were already part of to kind of venture into the film industry. I mean, there's only so much you can control when it comes to making it in the film industry or having your breakthrough. You can train your ass off and be really good, but never actually break through. I mean, there's the element of luck involved as well, but you can try your very best. For me, I think it'll always remain a bit of a combination, because I actually did start out first and foremost with acting, with emotional performance, but that's easily combined with the physicality, with physical acting. I think for me, it would always remain that hybrid. But obviously, it's easier for me as a person on a daily basis to just go to martial arts training every day and just keep training those skills, keep those muscles warm and going. Whereas with acting, you won't be on a film set every day. So how are you able to practice and train that on a daily basis? That, I think, is the difference, the way you prep yourself. Now, with acting, I tend to consider auditions and sending self-tapes. To me, that's a way of training my acting muscle.
Sure.
And whatever projects come your way, I seize them. I give a full 100%. I prepare myself as best as I can in terms of script, character, learning about the production, being professional, even if you don't really actually have the job just yet. That's my way of training that part of acting. Whereas the physicality, you can train that every day, which is what I'm doing. You always need to prepare yourself, even though you have nothing lined up. You always need to be able to hit the ground running if you do end up auditioning for something. I think that's the
Sure.
main difference between
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good. I actually I belong to a drama group in my teenage years, and I quite liked. Well, before that, actually going to school, I was the only boy in the drama group, and which I really enjoyed. Actually, I was surrounded by all these girls, which was great. And then I went. When I left school, I actually joined a drama group and had designs on maybe being in front of a camera, but it was great. It was, and the things that I loved. I remember we did a production of West Side Story, and I was Chino, and I remember it well. I thought, wow, this feels really good. And it was more the movement that I loved, more so than the acting side of it. But it was good. It was good fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it is a musical, so again, that's another form that is a bit of a combination of emotional performance and physicality, because everyone who would want to do a musical would be expected to have some background in dancing, or just have a physical training under your
Sure.
belt. So I can imagine for you that must have felt like a really like natural, almost, I guess.
Well, yeah, definitely, because I've always been a physical person ever since I've been a little boy, and sort of playing football and running, and the reason I attended school was really really for sport, really.
Well,
If they yeah, if they'd taken sports out of school, then I probably wouldn't have been there. So
you dropped out a long time ago.
yeah. So what about yourself from a young age? I mean, was this something that from the physical side that you thought, right, yeah, this is me? Or was it, were you quite academic at school? How did the balance go?
Oh, you know what? Ever since I was a little, just like you, actually, I've always been very physically active. I prefer to play outside, do weird things like I don't know, climbing trees or whatever. I was always very adventurous. But obviously, I'm a girl, so my mom did put me in a dress, so I just went and climbed trees in my in my dress.
Yeah, sure.
He didn't really like that, but anyways. And also when I was young, I did gymnastics at a very at a national level, so I was competing nationally. Um, so in a way, I've always been very competitive. Come to think about it, actually, I'm changing my mind on this. But yeah, so if I set out to do something, I want to do it right. I want to do it like I want to really train hard and become the best version I can be within that area. So the same was for gymnastics. When my mom saw that I was really agile, I'd fall out of a tree and I was fine. She was like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe you should think of gymnastics or something, something that you can, you know, put
Sure.
those skills to use." So I did that, and it was amazing. But obviously, I did that for like 10 years, and then
Hmm.
life takes over, and nobody really back then nobody really talks about, oh, you can actually remain an artist or do something in the performing arts, so you can continue training that. Society just expects you to do something serious with your life.
Oh
so
yeah.
I went to study international business and management after high
Oh wow.
school. And again, even in the academic field, I can be very competitive because I'm like, oh, I want to be really good at this. So I actually get really good at something because I put my heart and soul into it, give 100%, whether that is in the sports area or whether that is in the academic world. So I was actually pretty successful in that as well. Did
Hmm.
a couple of masters, but there was something about the performing and being, active physically that I missed.
Sure.
And that's when I just started to give into that dormant passion for performing. It was at a much later age that I decided to do that. So I had a pretty varied academic
Sure.
career, so to speak.
Yeah. What sort of age was it you made your decision then? You thought, right, this is the path.
Yeah, I think quite late. I think I was around 25,
Oh
26.
wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
that, I was just traveling, studying. There was a time I actually wanted to become a journalist because I loved writing.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that all the stuff that I did that it was for nothing. You tend to hear people say that when you end up with something that's completely different from what you started. Well, of course, I mean, you grow as a person. You experience new things, you try out new things. It's all about trying things out. You will never be the same person as you was 10 years ago.
Sure.
Thank God, right? You
Yeah,
don't want to be
yeah.
the same. And so it made perfect sense that I just, went from one thing to another. But I would never say, looking back, oh, I regret anything I've done, because somehow everything still, I'm still using the stuff that I studied for 10 years ago. It's all very much, it needs an upgrade somehow, obviously, but nothing's for nothing. I
Hmm.
don't really look at it
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got quite a broad skill set. Some people would argue it's the same line, but I would argue differently, because looking at your bio, you've done um, business presentations. I was listening to a couple that you did, and obviously that's a totally different skill to say, modeling. What I saw that on your bio as well. And how do you transfer from one to the other? How do you get into that? This mindset, this mindset, this mindset.
Yeah, maybe maybe that's the actor in me. He just changed characters so quickly.
Mm.
No, I don't know. I think I'm also a very curious person, so I do want to learn about different things. I don't really see myself staying in one box.
Mm.
Uh, I would get bored. I would I don't know. it just wouldn't be for me. And I guess that's why at some point I just embraced the fact that I'm doing and that I've done so many different things, um, because I could never stick to just one thing.
Yeah.
I think these days, especially in the entertainment industry or in any industry, they expect you to be everything and to do everything. So
Mm.
it's also a bit adapting to the times that we live in. Yeah, in the acting world, you need to be able to do your own stunts. You need to be able to cry on demand. You need to be able to be on time. You need to be physically fit. You need to change your hair color 100 million times. You need to speak in so many different accents, and there is just so much required of you that it's almost a natural thing to do, to just specialize yourself in different things.
Mm. Yeah.
I realized I used the word thing a bit too many times.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Your presenting skills are much better than mine, believe me.
Oh, no.
The the coming back again to the almost the physical side is that, as a, martial arts has been my live-in since the early 80s, and I've done that, and I love the physical side. And obviously, as I've got older, it's become more difficult. But in the early days, I found it sort of fairly easy. It wasn't a chore, going to. I didn't really use gyms very much. It's a lot of my training outside. So you're obviously really, really busy. How do you get that sort of body conditioning in? How do you manage that?
Well, there are 24 hours in the day. I can't add any more hours to the day. So oftentimes well, pretty much almost every day, I get up really early to make sure that the gym, luckily for me, is quite close. It's like a 7-minute walk. Dangerous. And it's a 24-hour gym. So there you go.
Oh, right.
Going really early in the morning. Let's say I get up around 6, make sure that I'm at the gym at 7, and just start working out for an hour as a warm up, as a way to warm up to the day. And oftentimes, full-time performer right now, oftentimes you have meetings, or you start your shooting, shoots or whatever, around 8, 9ish. Let's say 9 that you actually have to be on film set or whatever. I always try to do it either really early in the morning or really late in the evening.
Yeah.
Cooling down. There is a difference in mindset, obviously. In the morning, it's like, oh, I'm waking up, I'm warming up. And when I go to the gym in the evening, that's kind of like, for me, a way to, sort of get everything out of my system and just unwind. And obviously during the days, I've got a lot of training days during the week. So Muay Thai, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, that's just spread out over the week, really.
Yeah. How do you have you had any breaks through injuries, and if so, how have you managed that?
Well, I've got one right now.
All right. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. It's
So you can't do any filming with your hand in the picture.
no, unless it's just waving,
Yeah,
like,
that one.
like, I don't know, in the background or something.
Yeah.
They'll hire me for that. Yeah. So it's torn ligament.
Okay.
Luckily not broken or dislocated. I was a bit worried about that, actually. This actually happened during taekwondo training.
Right. Yes, that's
yeah.
that can happen. That's happened to me before.
Oh, what happened to you? Like,
Well, I've had the odd injury on my toes, because obviously, you kick in and you're moving fast or whatever, and things come together, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. And you get a little, I mean, I got a little excited during sparring, and normally you'd have to preferably block with, a closed hand, but somehow for me, something went wrong there, and I just felt it instantly. But I didn't think too much of it, because obviously in the martial arts, not you don't you get bruised up, you go with a little bit of pain, and you feel a bit sore, but it's nothing special, nothing to be alarmed about. So that's how I went home. And then the next morning, my foot was all purple and blue, and I was like, oh, that's not good. So that's when I went to A&E. They took some x-rays, and it was all good. I just have to let it rest for like a week or so. So no sparring, no training that involves this hand in particular, because it needs to be straight. So I just train my legs.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, you again on the same subject. I mean, you're an attractive young lady, and
Oh, thank you.
you know, going into martial arts, there's always going to be collisions, whatever. And to be honest, let's be fair. When you go on a movie set, particularly as a young lady, people are looking at your face, and you got a good bone structure here. Do you ever worry about that?
Like as in that they have
Well, if you get hit or nose or
oh, like that.
or
Oh,
black eye,
no, no. I mean, you're always trying to be careful because
yeah,
unless you're in an actual street fight, then you can't
yeah,
really ask your opponent like, "Can you please not hit the face?" You know,
yeah,
you can't really go like that because I have a shoot tomorrow.
yeah,
um, no, but in training, you try to be careful. But again, when I'm training, when I'm sparring or whatever, something takes over that makes me not care about that.
yeah.
Um, whether that's like the something primitive like you become a little like a tomboy like the way I was when I was young. I don't really care if I fall out of a tree
Mm,
and I break something. um in moments like that, the adrenaline takes over and you don't really care about the way you look. To be fair, I look pretty screwed up during training. Like, you don't care if your hair. That's why I'm always so surprised when I see uh, people on Instagram posting their fitness stuff and their spin. I was like, how do you keep your hair like that? Like, I don't look anywhere near
I
that.
I guess there's a bit of trickery there, and they're not really training, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I hope they are, but it's just me. I don't look anything like that. So yes, in the film industry, it's all about aesthetics. And when you're on a film setting, you do a scene. There is a makeup artist, there's a hairstylist who makes sure that whatever you do, it still looks good.
Yeah.
But when it comes to doing actual fighting scenes, when it comes to actually sparring and just going at it, I just forget about all that.
Mm,
Really,
yeah.
I'm like, and then I they're done shooting, and I sort of see myself back, and I'm like, oh my god, that face I made, it's like I'm having a really hard time. Because in that moment I don't think about it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
somehow it always works out, and they're happy. If they're happy with what we shot, then I'm happy, and we're all done, and let's go home.
Yeah. No, I think it's probably true. I with some of my students, sometimes when you can see they're a little bit defensive and they're backing off because they don't want to get hurt. That's generally when they get hurt. Whereas
Oh yeah.
when you're moving forwards and you're sort of using offense, being a bit more attacking, you tend to keep yourself a bit safer. Strangely enough, well, that's what I found.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? That's the thing. If you start to get a little hesitant to
Mm,
to move forward, that's just, I don't know, it affects your defense in a way. So
mm,
that's why I'm happy that I don't think about, oh, my pretty face or whatever. Or I don't think like that. I just go straight in. I'm like a tiger when I'm fighting, and I'm happy that I am. And then afterwards, you go to
yeah.
the dressing room, you look in the mirror, you're like, holy shit. Don't miss today, please. No, no, I'm not like that. Thank God I'm not.
Okay, good, good, good. So, I mean, you've obviously got a very busy schedule, lots of things going on, and I know that I like to use the duck principle. You got the duck going along the water like that, but underneath the legs are really going, and
I like
which is where I've been in the past. People go, oh, how do you fit everything in? I said, well,
that.
yeah, same. I mean, I'm an early riser as well. To be honest, I get up at 6:30. I've already done my training today, for example, and I'll be teaching in the evening and so on. But what do you do? What do you do for your downtime? And do you have any um, sort of relaxation things that you do? I mean, I love playing the guitar as well. I'd like to play the guitar. That's one of my relaxation things.
Right.
Yeah, and a bit of music. I play harmonica. I like to go out on my motorbike. But what about yourself?
Woo! Well, you're right. I my schedule is pretty busy. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, did I really have to do that? Like, I kind of wanted an hour of break or whatever, or just a 10-minute power nap. I tend to travel a lot.
Okay.
It's something to look forward to. You can easily have a schedule that kind of forces you to work 7 days a week. But I then tend to book my holidays, and I just take like literally 2 weeks far away, no laptop, no emails, nothing, just really disconnect from London, from work, and just clear your mind that way. So I do tend to travel as a therapy, really, as a way of just
Sure.
relaxing.
Yeah.
Um, and really relax, like, and that's also when my mind gets clearer for, I don't know, for stories to write or whatever. You just get more inspiration because your mind is actually clear.
Sure.
um so that's more the luxurious downtime activity, so to speak. But anything on a daily base, I like to, I don't know, very simple things actually. Take a walk in the park, listen to music. I love dancing, hanging out with friends. The very simple things in life. I know that my career and all the stuff that I do for work is very flamboyant. It's very, bombastic, larger than life. So when I'm in my downtime, I'd like to keep it simple and
Sure.
sweet and
Sure.
just, yeah.
Sure. No worries. Have you ever tried meditating? I,
Actually, yeah, yoga, meditation. I
yeah,
definitely do that as well.
yeah,
Not as often as I want to. I mean,
mm,
the
mm,
you plan to do it every morning,
yeah,
10 minutes. I do sort of do it during my morning routine at the gym.
yes,
Obviously during it's kind of incorporated into my warm up, that I just literally take a moment on the mat to just, it's just
mm,
easier when you do it there rather than in the house, because
sure,
temptations, you see your laptop, you see your phone. I mean, there's a lot of distractions in, in my house. um but when I'm somewhere else at the gym where the environment allows you to do all that, because it just screams, be healthy, think of your mindset, or think of your health, then I tend to be able to do that easier. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. I mean, I've got a couple of students who are currently training to be in the stunt industry, and a couple of they've done quite well, and I've known others within the martial arts who've moved into that industry as well, and
Right.
it's not easy. I mean, it's sometimes when people see someone on screen and they think, oh wow, aren't they lucky? But they don't see the work
Yeah.
that's gone into it. And this is, I mean, I like this conversation because there might be, there's going to be people listening to this. Oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. So I like to give both sides of the story. It's like being I say to people, being a martial arts teacher is great. I love it, but you have to keep up your standard and you have to keep your fitness up. And the other thing on top of that, sorry, this is a long question, but the other thing on top of that was, I try to be quite conscious about my diet. I do have days where I go, forget it. I'm just going to eat a bit of chocolate cake. But I'm quite conscious about my diet because I want to be able to still do the stuff and show people how to do certain things. So how do you work the diet? And I'm not an alcoholic. I don't really do alcohol very often. Green tea, water is my thing. I'll have a bit of wine, maybe a glass of beer, but not very often. So what about yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. And first of all, I don't drink alcohol at
Mm,
all. If you see me in party pics with a glass,
mm,
oftentimes it just has lemonade in. I do not drink alcohol.
mm.
I don't eat sugar, and I don't smoke either. So those are like the main, when it comes to
Yeah.
diets, when it comes to habits. That's just one thing I want to put out there, because
Mm,
I know what, it would be nice for especially young people to realize there's nothing good that comes out of smoking or whatever. But anyways, if you smoke,
mm,
you whatever, do your thing.
mm.
When it comes to my daily routine, it's true. It You can do so many things and you can do them so well, but if you do not have the art of discipline, that that's when things become difficult. And it starts early in the morning. I mean, how
Yeah.
many people decide not to get up earlier to do something active for yourself that you know is good for you, rather sleep in a little longer? That's where the discipline needs to kick in. And even I have to remind myself every morning, nope, you're getting up, you got to do this, got to kick myself out of bed and just do it. That's the most difficult step for a lot of people on a daily basis, and it stops them from exploiting their full potential, whatever it is you're doing, really. Now obviously when it comes to martial arts, or when it comes to being a physical actor, you need to train. You need to always be on the ball, because you never know when you get that call to come in for an audition and you're being asked to do a somersault or something that requires you to, already be flexible, and not that you have to tell the casting directors or your agent, sorry, I need like 6 months to warm up for that. Can you hold on? No, because you will lose your opportunity. So I guess that for me is definitely motivation to know that this is, this puts food on my table. So it becomes almost crucial for me to stay fit and active and, in shape and keep training. But other people can have a different kind of motivation or a different reason to stay fit. Maybe you just want to be fit because it makes you feel good, and ultimately it makes you feel happier. You do feel, if you're taking, for example, like my guilty pleasure is pizza. If I had way too many pizzas during the week, I tend to feel a bit bloated. And then I go to training and I can't keep up. And I'm like, shit, why did I do it? Why did I do it?
Yeah.
So it being, let's say, practicing martial arts on a daily basis, it does remind you constantly of what you put in your body, how you treat your body. Do you get enough rest? Did you get a day to recover you cannot like train 7 days a week. You need at least one day of recovery. That all comes out when you're training, when you realize, shit, I'm not the way I should be, or I'm not as agile, I'm not as fast. What have I been doing? Did I not sleep enough? So these are things that forces you to look at your daily habits and be a bit more conscious of it, and be a bit more on top of that, be a bit more stricter with yourself, a bit more disciplined to keep it going. It is a lifestyle. It's not something that, I'm going to try this out and I'm going to, I don't know, train once a month. That does not make you a martial artist. If you really want to be good at something, you need to include it in your lifestyle and your daily habits.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also as well is that, we talk about seeing people on the screen and the hard work that they've gone through and the discipline, but also the knockbacks and the failures, in the sense that, people say, no, oh, you're not what we're looking for. Or, I mean, that could be quite hard on your ego. What? But I'm fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing, right? When it comes to first of all, if you are in the film industry, you need to grow a thick skin. Because 9 out of 10 times you'll be rejected. And so it took a change of mindset when it comes to how I approach my acting career. Oftentimes people ask me, so you want to be a successful working actor? I said, no, I don't want to be. I am. I am a successful working actor. I'm successful because I tend to go to auditions. I might not land the roles that I want, but going to the audition becomes the job.
Yeah.
Because then that way I can disconnect myself from the rejection if that were to come. I go in, I give my all, I prepare my script, I do research, I go into the room, and I give my all, and that's it. At the end, thank you very much, get out of the room, and you forget about it. That was the job done. If you actually land the job, that is a bonus. And obviously the process starts all over. But if I don't get the job and I'm being rejected, I don't really feel it, because I'm like, well, I did all I could.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't for me, and it's someone else who is lucky and better, and that is absolutely fine. I was not what they were looking for, and you just move on. And I think, that resilience, that, bouncing back is very important, because again, you get rejected more than you will actually get something.
Yeah, sure.
And you should be stable within yourself, like, I did all I could, and then also give everything you can, so that you can look back without any regrets. Like, I did all I could. I couldn't do anymore. Look, if they wanted Angelina Jolie, I never stood a chance anyways, So and be kind to yourself. Train, do your best every day, give it your all, and then drop it and move on. Drop it and move on.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite tough. I admire you for that because not a lot of people can deal with that. I had a friend many years ago, a male friend, who went for audition. Well, it was audition. He went to see if he could make it as a male model. Actually, you know,
Okay.
quite tall, quite. And went along to this thing, and they said, "Oh, you know, do this and do that, and walk over here, walk over there." I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, your bottom's too big, and this is really." He was almost in tears, you know. I said, "Oh my
Like,
God!" So I said, you just got to laugh those things off because, you know, otherwise you just end up doing nothing. You know,
yeah, you gotta build that self-esteem for yourself. You gotta be proud and know what it is you have and what it is
yeah,
you don't have.
yeah,
I could never be a top model because I'm not 5'7", but that is fine. If people tell me, oh, you know what, you're not tall enough, or oh, you're not curvy enough. Well, hello, what do you expect me to do? You want me to
mm,
change this is who I am. If I'm not what you're looking for, move on and find what you want, you know, but
yeah,
I will, there will be stuff that will be compatible to me. And then
sure,
that is my thing, and that is all right. But I'm not going to change myself up just to fit the mold or to fit whatever society wants from me, because you will never be able to please everyone.
mm,
So just be comfortable with yourself. This is who I am, and I'm just going to keep going until I find what does work for me. And there'll
yeah,
be
sure,
people who will appreciate the way I look, the way I sound. They will have roles for me that fit me, and that's fine.
mm,
And if I don't, I'll still be happy as Larry. Still be doing the things I do. And it does require, you know, a well-developed self-esteem. Don't let them get to you because it's based on aesthetics. This industry is based on looks.
mm,
And so yeah, that's
mm,
what you have. That's what you got to work with.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there'll be stuff that just doesn't fit you, but that's fine.
No, that's great advice, and hopefully those that are listening will take that on board. But I think generally, whether it be the film industry or whatever, just life in general, you have to have a bit of a thick skin. Otherwise it's not going to work. Do you know what I mean? So you're right there. Oh,
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Yeah.
oh yes, lost you for a bit. Yeah, no, just saying you got to have a bit of a thick skin with these things because just in life in general, because it's not always going to go your way. Um, you know, lucky enough, my mother endowed me with very thick skin. She was quite a philosopher, my mum, which was quite nice. So
Yeah.
I learned very early on.
That's really good. Yeah, absolutely. And not just that. I mean, my parents instilled in me, and I'm very thankful for that. The hard work ethics, the not giving up, the like keep it going, keep trying. If you think you've tried enough, try again.
Mm,
And just block out all the noise around you. Do not compare yourself with other people because it's just useless. Nobody's like you. In
mm,
the film industry, there could be like 50 actresses look like you, sound like you, but they will never deliver the lines the same way as you do because everyone does it in their own unique way. There's no point in comparing. So stop doing that.
mm,
Block out all the distractions and focus on your own development. And if you go in with the mindset not to want to win something, because if you go in with that mindset, like I want to win, there's a possibility that you could lose because winning comes, you know, along with a losing.
mm,
There are winners, there are losers. If you come in with the attitude of, hey, I'm here to learn, I'm
mm,
here to grow, whatever I can gain in terms of experience, knowledge, something new, or just have a good time, that is a win already. You go in with that mindset, you will never lose, you will never get rejected, you will never get disappointed because there's always something that you can bring with you from it. It's always something you can learn from it. And that's kind of the mindset I take with me everywhere I go, whatever I do. I'm here to learn. So if I fall on my face, that is fine because I'm just learning. I'm not here to win. I'm not
mm.
here to compete. Well, you know, when you're in a competition, you
Yeah,
are. But just in general, if you're trying out new things, like for example, I speak to women who would like to try out the martial arts, but they are afraid to take that step. They're like, oh, I don't want to be hit in the face. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's too much. I don't have time. They come up with all kinds of excuses as if they're trying to justify them not going.
Hmm.
There is just all that insecurity. And I'm like, you know what, just go. You don't go in to win medals. You just go in to learn something new.
Hmm.
Make it easier for yourself. Keep the threshold a bit lower.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, and I'm sure that people will hear that. I hope people will take that on board and follow that. Well, we're coming sort of close to the end of the podcast. Is there anything else you haven't mentioned that you'd like to share? First off,
I got a movie coming out.
oh, great! Yeah, no, go. Yeah, that's definitely worth sharing. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, we finished shooting maybe a week ago, and it's a very fun horror dark comedy movie.
Okay.
I'm playing a baddie. There's some
Okay.
martial arts scenes in it, so that could be an interesting thing for our
Great.
community.
Excellent.
And yeah, just stay tuned on my
Okay.
I'll be posting if anything.
Yeah, where can we, with that in mind again, is where can we follow you? And we will put some stuff in the show notes as well. But if you can tell the audience where they can follow you and find out about you.
Yeah, so I think the most active and the most recent updates will probably be posted on my Instagram, which is Instagram, my Rebecca_Hanser, no capitals there. And
Okay.
come find me, and it's so much fun. I always like to share. Also, I share a lot about my training and just anything that could inspire and motivate other people,
Fantastic.
to do their thing the best way they can and to not give up and always
Yeah.
stay positive. I think, yeah, that's
Excellent. Well, I hope you get many followers from this. I should certainly be following you because one of the reasons, selfish reason, I'd love to chat to you again, and see how things are going for you sometime in the future. But yeah, we'll put some of these some of the links and so on in the show notes. Maybe put a link to a few reels and things, anything that you recommend. But yeah, I'd like to thank you very, very much for taking the time to share your journey, share your insights on, what you've done, where you're hoping to go, and, things that, you think it's important for people to know. So thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you. And honestly, I really appreciate this opportunity to come on your podcast and just, share these amazing things with you. And hopefully someone out there feels motivated or could use it. I don't know. It's whatever.
Excellent. If you hang around, I'll get that some information from you. But I'd just like to say thank you very much to the Living Martial Arts podcast fans. I hope you've enjoyed this fantastic podcast with Miss Rebecca Hanser, lovely young lady, very attractive lady, and I'm sure that if you follow her, you'll get some real motivation through the things that she's doing and things that she's hoping to do. So thank you very much, and we'll catch you soon. Thank you.